Why detachment feels scary but necessary. There comes a moment in life when you realize something uncomfortable. Caring too much has cost you more than it ever gave you. You cared about being understood, about being treated fairly, about how others perceived your intentions. And yet, despite all that effort, you still felt exhausted, still misunderstood, still hurt. This is where most people get confused. They assume the pain comes from what others did. But often, the pain comes from how deeply we stayed emotionally connected to people who no longer deserved access. Detachment sounds harsh at first. It sounds like giving up, like becoming cold or distant. But detachment, when understood correctly, is not emotional numbness. It's emotional clarity. In this video, we're going to explore why silence, emotional distance, and letting go are not signs of weakness, but signs of psychological strength. And why the moment you stop caring about the wrong things, everything changes. Caring too much is not a virtue. We're taught from a young age that caring deeply is always good. Be empathetic, be understanding, be patient. And while these qualities matter, there's a line most people never learn to draw. Caring becomes harmful when it's unconditional toward people who are careless with your emotions. Psychologically, overcaring creates imbalance. One person invests emotional energy, the other consumes it. Over time, this dynamic leads to resentment, anxiety, and self-doubt. You start questioning yourself. You replay conversations. You wonder what you could have said differently, not because you're weak, but because you're attached. Stoic philosophy challenges this directly. It doesn't argue against caring, it argues for disciplined care. Care that is proportional, care that is selective, care that does not sacrifice inner stability. When you care without boundaries, you give others leverage over your emotional state, and leverage is power. The strongest people aren't those who feel the most. They're those who decide what deserves feeling at all. Silence is not avoidance. It's authority. Most people speak because silence makes them uncomfortable. Silence feels like losing control, like surrendering the narrative, like letting others assume things. But psychologically, silence often does the opposite. Silence removes you from emotional negotiation. When you stop explaining yourself, people lose material to manipulate. When you stop defending your choices, critics lose relevance. When you stop reacting immediately, provocations lose power. Stoics understood that words are tools, and tools should only be used when they serve a purpose. Silence is not passive, it's selective engagement. It signals that you don't need validation to stand by your decisions, that your identity is stable enough not to be negotiated through conversation. People who once relied on your reactions begin to feel unsettled because they no longer know where they stand. And uncertainty is uncomfortable for those who depend on control. Detachment creates psychological distance. Emotional pain intensifies when you are too close to it, when every comment feels personal, when every action feels like a reflection of your worth, when every outcome feels like a judgment. Detachment introduces distance, not distance from reality, but distance from interpretation. Modern psychology calls this cognitive distancing. Stoicism practiced it centuries earlier. Instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" detached thinking asks, "What does this actually change?" Instead of assuming intent, it observes behavior. Instead of personalizing outcomes, it evaluates facts. This shift is subtle, but powerful. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. And strategy always outperforms impulse. When you stop reacting, control returns. Reactivity is one of the easiest ways to lose control. Quick replies, defensive explanations, emotion-driven decisions. They feel justified in the moment, but they create long-term consequences. Detached individuals don't rush. They pause. They assess. They choose. This pause creates power. Because most people expect reaction, they provoke it. They rely on it. When it doesn't come, the dynamic breaks. Silence forces others to sit with their own behavior. Without your emotional participation, their actions lose momentum. And slowly, control shifts back to where it belongs, with you. Letting go is an act of self-respect. Letting go is often misunderstood as forgiveness, but letting go isn't about excusing behavior. It's about refusing to carry what no longer serves you. Psychologically, holding on keeps the nervous system activated. The body stays tense. The mind stays alert. Letting go allows regulation. You reclaim mental space. You reclaim energy. You reclaim presence. Stoicism frames this as alignment with nature, accepting what cannot be changed and releasing resistance. Resistance drains. Acceptance stabilizes. And stability is the foundation of strength. Emotional independence is the real power. The most dangerous thing to someone who once hurt you is not revenge. It's irrelevance. When your happiness no longer depends on their behavior. When your peace no longer reacts to their words. When your focus shifts entirely inward. That's when the power dynamic ends. You don't need closure from them. You don't need validation. You don't need acknowledgement. You've already moved beyond the interaction. This is emotional independence, and it's rare because it requires discipline, self-awareness, and the courage to stop engaging in familiar emotional patterns. But once achieved, it changes everything. Conclusion. When you withdraw emotionally, you advance internally. Detachment is not loss. It's refinement. You remove what weakens you. You keep what strengthens you. Silence becomes intentional. Distance becomes clarity. Letting go becomes freedom. The moment you stop caring about what doesn't deserve you, life becomes lighter. Not because nothing matters, but because only the right things do. If this perspective helped you rethink strength, emotional control, and self-respect, take a moment to like the video, subscribe, and stay connected for more insights on mastering your inner world.